Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Peter Kennedy's garage. What I have a big Volkswagen Crafter, and this is in from a video I done a bus one of these one time. Man is getting a couple of fault codes, P0299. I don't know what the other one is. It's something like I won't even guess because I guess it wrong. I'll put up a picture. I took a screenshot. Unfortunately, I'm at the clearing faults, but it was on that scan tool that I took a picture of. What am I looking at? So it's an underboost fault that I'm getting, and turbo actuator position, or turbo actuator sensor position sensor. Right now, I'll put in the actual fault codes here now. Okay. Okay, back in and going. We're going to take it for a spin, try and recreate these fault codes because I did clear them. And once I recreate, because he said it happened straight away, once I recreate, I'm going to go scouting. I'm trying to find turbo actuator position, but I haven't found it as of yet. So maybe I have a couple of these PIDs. We're going to go for a drive and just see what we find. So I have charge air actual 1044. I have specified value of charge air pressure 1041. So we're going to give a drive and just see what's happening. And I'm also going to try and find the turbo position voltage. Okay, out to our little turbo actuator. You can see someone has been in block connector that should be interior, and that is, the top is broken off it. And say that was from getting these little pins or heat shrink or solder pins or wires onto it. Don't know. It's neither here nor there. Block connector, yeah, is gone off it here, but there is another block connector in here, so it's easy enough for us to get at it. So don't know the wiring diagram on this thing now, but I have 3 wires. It's going to be relatively easy. We've 3 wires. We're going to have a 5-volt feed. We're going to have a ground, 0 volts, and then we're going to have a signal. So just from that plateau or format, I have my multimeter running here in the corner. I'm just running the ground wire my multimeter onto the body of the EGR valve, and I just started the back probe, and I back probe the black wire that's sitting there, if you can see that camera. Can. And in there, ignition on, I have 5 volts. Okay, we're going to pull out my back probe and pin. I'm going to go into the middle. Into the middle wire. I don't think I got in right there. Sorry. Not the normal generic give out by me about doing these things single-handedly. Okay, I'm back probing now, and I have 0.75 of a volt at that middle wire, so I'm suggesting that's the signal wire. And then I'm going to go into the other one. It should be very, very low. Come on. I have millivolts in there. Now what I have another back probing pin here. I'm going to go back into my 5 volts wire. I'm going to stick on my ground. I know we're going to get a minus voltage. Right, weirdly, what I was looking for was to test my ground there. I get a test light actually for it, just to be sure. So I was going from the one on this side, which was the ground, to the one on that side, which is the 5-volt reference, and I don't have voltage there. I'm going to just go along. I would have been suggesting that I was going to see 5 volts. So if I pull out that wire, and I'm just going to go back onto ground here. When I go back onto ground here, I have 5 volts. So was my back probing pin not incorrect or what? Sorry, this is me messing and fidgeting around. All I'm trying to do is prove my ground. Okay. Oh, we're back in there. Okay, to a pin fitment thing. So I have minus glare. Sorry, I have minus 5 volts. Okay, so we have a good ground. Now you want to watch out, because these things will sometimes tell you lies without load testing. But we do know that position sensor is actually operating and giving us out 0.7 of a volt there. So look, we know nearly that our ground is good because the actual sensor is doing its job. Can't see anything on live data inside in the scan tool. So we're going to have a look at our voltages here in a second and just to see. Okay, I'm going to go back in there. That's back into the signal where I'm going. I have minus 0.75, so I'm actually going to swap around I'm going to pull my block connectors off to put them the right way around rather than giving you minus numbers and you wondering what the heck I'm at, okay? All a little bit funny and not great for... What am I to drop? Something fell. No, it fell. Maybe I just knocked something. Oh, I think the crocodile clip that was on the EGR. So we have 0.74 voltage. That's kind of right. At this point, when we pull this, or we started the turbo. Yeah, I have no lights on there now, but that turbo should be drawn. That should be, it is actually. I've seen this and I'll show you. In fact, just to prove that the actual vacuum canister is working. We are actually getting control too, and we have 3.59 volts at this point in time. That actually doesn't seem to be too far off kilter, guys. So what are we hunting down now? I have seen Mechanic Matt, and I have gotten caught myself with EGR coolers and stuff like that, but yet it's giving out about the position of that rather than underboost or any kind of an airflow fault. So is that, here's actually an interesting one. That's the position, okay? If I disconnect the block connector on the signal wire, that 0.75 of a volt is coming out from that position sensor here. If I disconnect the actual block connector, I should have, I believe I'm going to be looking for, I'd like to see this being a pull down circuitry. So the signal wire is going to be 5 volts, we're thinking maybe getting pulled down 0.75. If I disconnect it and I see 5 volts down there, it's proving the wire from my engine ECU, wherever the engine ECU is intact, and if it doesn't, then I go digging a bit. Okay, I just got my second hand to disconnect, so I've unplugged the block connector, and when I unplug the block connector between the ground and the signal wire, I have 0 volts, so potentially it's going to be a pull up voltage. So it's at 0 and being pulled up and then up higher. But here's one option. The other option is, do I have a wire between my engine ECU and that position sensor broken, the signal wire broken? Right, I try and find out a bit more information and see where this engine ECU and stuff is. Okay, we're looking at engine management wiring diagram. We have turbocharger vane position sensor here. We have, more than likely, the brown is going to be the ground. It's sharing it with another sensor, whatever that is, I don't know what that is. And white is more than likely going to be our 5 volt feed. Now, number 2, the one in the middle we're concerned about, is up as far as number 13 pin, which is, it's camshaft position sensor actually here. And we know that they're good, so we're not concerned about these bits here. We're only concerned about that wire going up there. Okay, so now my next protocol is to get into the engine ECU. It's actually in behind the passenger side headlight, and I want to make sure that I have that 0.7 and stuff there. And could I have a broken wire or even a continuity check between here and here? But we have to find this number 13, see which. Okay, engine ECU is sitting just in there behind the headlight. Okay, and we'll pull off the 2 block connectors, and I've just marked pin number 13 on that, but that one is not brown and red. So onto the smaller block connector number 13 on this one, which is marked as well, is not, is brown and red. Okay, so I've back probed that wire there, and then come over here and verified that my wire in there is brown and red, and I'm back probed in there. And lo and behold, on an ohms test, okay, on an ohms test, I have continuity on that wire. So if I disconnect or pull out my back probing pin, you can watch that. Okay, pin out and in hand, open circuit there. That's not saying that this wire is intermittently breaking. We're going to might do a wiggle test on that signal wire and just see. Also probably should do a wiggle test on the actual 5 volt power feed, maybe even put a test light on it and pull and drag it up, because at this point in time it isn't as straightforward as a solid broken wire. Maybe it is relearn or something of the position, you know, the basic setting of the actual lower and the higher voltage. It's not happy at some stage anyway. I don't know whether it's not happy when it's at high voltage or at low voltage or what the heck is going on here, but this isn't as straightforward as just jump in and get out of it after 20 minutes. We'll start doing a little bit of digging. Okay guys, I'm at the swapping from Autodata onto diagnosed then TSBs. 2563 turbocharger boost control range of performance. I'm only refreshing my head. When you're at a whole load of other stuff, this stuff doesn't stay in your head too well. Anyway, what I'm reading here, we're going to probably do a basic setting on it. So it's actually saying to us to perform a basic setting. This is only just on a bulletin on that fault code. And what it's actually saying is we should have exactly 0.75 of a volt plus or minus 0.05. So it's very, very specific on the low voltage side. So I'm going to get a mini vac on this thing, just have a look and see if we're, can't remember in my head as accurate as that, but we might get that set up to 0.75 and then go after a basic setting. Okay guys, we're out back underneath the bonnet. I had my mini vac connected. What I'm looking at on my voltage, I'm actually back probe still in the engine ECU, but I have 0.769 of a volt, which is probably higher than what, well, diagnosed and TSBs are looking for anyway. Sorry, I'm trying to get on my little pipe onto my multivac. Single-handed again. Whichever one screams to me, get a head cam. Can't do it. Makes life too complicated for me. Okay, so here's where we are. I'm gonna apply vacuum here. We're just gonna have a look at our little range of voltage when our vacuum canister is traveling. So it all looks to be nice, even rise as I'm just doing little pumps. All the way up to 3.59. So I'm thinking that we'll adjust the lower side of our turbo, and by adjusting the lower side, this is going to come down to about 3.5, but I'm going to try and get that into the 0.75 range, and then we'll go maybe looking at this basic setting, or maybe even drive it and then do the basic setting. Okay, to adjust this turbo, it's only these 3 bolts that you have to slide the actual actuator up or down. At this point in time, I have it at 0.75 of a volt. Drop my spanner. And it says tolerance 0.05 of a volt, so that's going to be 0.8 or Okay, I'm going to go into basic settings on the autel and just see. I don't know if this will do it or do I need a VCDS, but we'll just go and have a look and see what we're up against. Actuation of the turbocharger. Not active, do it. Close, battery's gone flat on my phone. Sorry, battery went flat on my, well, it's telling me it's flat. Adaptation of the turbocharger. Start. Actually, maybe I should have this car running. I feel I have my multimeter hanging over there. I'm going to stop. Maybe I'm going to do this again. Start. Active. I don't have information on the turbo vane position in this. Maybe again I should be looking at the VCDS, but the battery goes flat in the laptop, so it's very awkward. Oh, the battery's gone flat in that one as well. Okay, battery's gone flat everywhere. But I've jarred something to start again. Okay, I swapped around and got the good old trusty Mahal. Why did I get Male? Why did I get that? I got that because I think this is fairly good on Volkswagen. So just because it was there, some bit of battery in this thing, I said I'll go and have a look. I raised fault code, so I had the P2563 gone at this stage. I'm just looking at my voltage and stuff over there, which doesn't seem to be too bad. We're just going to see what happens here. I think this has to be done with the, I don't know if this is going to do it, but I think it has to be done with the engine running. Filter, forced regeneration, moving vehicle, engine idle, accent, turbo control adaptation. I'll try that. Now I don't know whether we'll start the engine or not. It's pouring this one, you must respect ignition on, dashboard on, engine on at idle. So we're up and running at this point in time, so we know that hopefully our conditions are okay. Turbocharger control adaptation in progress. Battery's going flat on my phone as well, as I said there. Operation to be executed in progress. So I don't know how long this is going to take, does it? Just stay in that. I know you're looking at me in the in the reflection here, and you may not want to be doing that, correct? But I'm only just pressing the button to see. It says it's in progress. We just leave it alone for now, and I'll check in. Oh, operation completed. Okay, that sounds nice. See that? Operation completed successfully, or adjustment completed successfully. Okay, well that was done in here. Turbo charge pressure actuator test. Will we do that? Start. Engine at idle again. So just press the brake pedal. Press the brake pedal and press the accelerator pedal completely. So brake pedal pressed, accelerator pressed completely. Operation in progress. Hold down the brake and the accelerator pedal. That's two of them held to the ground now. So you can see my groovy shorts. Too warm, too sunny to be having okay, aborted for safety reasons. Okay, don't know what them safety reasons are, but sure, okay. What I do know is I think there was a DPF deleted out of this thing prior to me interrupted by you. I didn't interrupt it at all, so that didn't work. Might try that again in a second. We do a plausibility test. Actually, here, what we got? Overboost pressure regulator. All right, okay. Interesting. I'm going to raise these arrows anyway. Just going to raise. Okay, adjustments. Might try that one again. Turbocharger test. Start. Okay. Operation in progress. So it's actually running through our changing our voltages here at the turbo. That's the lower side of it. Operation in progress. You're gonna stay sitting there while I pause. I've done it anyway fast to be nice for you to see it while it's rolling rather than stopping and starting. Operation completed. That's like that, it's okay. Adjustment completed successfully. Okay, we're back here. Okay, we still have, look at this now, we got an issue here. So it's not happy with something, is it? Did I create these? Get out on the road and just see, okay? Because again, it's happening fairly fast, but we'll just see what we're going to find. Okay, well, I'm just after realising here on the Mahalo. I went out for a test drive and wicked hard to see there, isn't it? Clear. Anyway, I went out for a drive and high pressure turbo actuator raw voltage. So that is 3.625, and I'm suggesting that that's what I'm seeing there. Now I'm going to suggest also, so nearly I don't need that multimeter. What I'm going to suggest also is I've 95% turbo actuation there, and that voltage is kind of right. But when I drove it, I've triggered a fault again anyway quite fast. And when I triggered a fault again, just under low RPM, heavy load up a steep hill, is when I'm getting the thing to act up. And when I did, over here, when I was idling, it created a fault, it cleared the fault. I was only getting 2 volts in there, okay? So, and then it dissipated very fast when I knocked off the car, where it wasn't doing that earlier on. So I maybe even think that it could be our N75 turbo actuator that's gone and causing this to not do its job right. That's my frame of thought at this point in time right now. But I'm going to have a look at these. I'm going to graph these while driving, and I've no faults there now, I cleared faults, and I'm going to try and record, and when it kicks its heels, just have a look and see where we're at, what our voltage is here, and what our control is here, right? Okay, I pulled in on the side of the road. I'm just going to show you. Look, when I was driving here, I'm only hitting, that's millivolts, but I'm only hitting 2.2 volts there. I'm in the shade, and I was getting full control here. So I either have a vacuum problem getting to the actual turbo control solenoid, or I have the N75 turbo control solenoid sticking or not doing its job. Don't know if I have one of them back in the workshop. may do just to try. I could also tee in a vacuum line to the actual vacuum side of it, you know, the vacuum pump, we'll call it, or whatever, the actual supply vacuum to it. Okay guys, I'm down on the floor trying to get rid of glare. At least we can see some bit of a screen here. We have that P2563 back, but if I'm looking here, high pressure turbo actuator command. So here we were hitting 100% right there. You can see it 99.5. We're hitting 100% here, or at least very close to it. But if I scroll down onto my actual voltage, my voltage from around there was dropping. So the car was looking for 100% of turbo boost, but it was only getting a very, very small amount. Well, it was getting far less than what it wanted. It was getting 2.5 volts, maybe under it, 2.2 or 2.3. And then this is where it triggered a fault. Shut it down, 2563, turbo actuator position, intermittent. It's not seeing what it wants to see out here. So it triggered a fault, boom, control is gone, boost pressure is gone. Okay, so we're not actually losing voltage, or we don't have a wiring fault or problem. We have an actual position fault. Okay, so it's not actually in the position that the engine ECU wants it. It's looking for a full boost, so it should have 3.5 volts, but we're actually only getting 2.2 or so down here, which triggers the fault, and lo and behold, our car has gone into limp mode. Okay, we're on a path to getting somewhere. Now is it, as we said there, vacuum or N75 solenoid? That will have to pinpoint, prove, and see where we're at. More tests. Okay, the two options I have. Option one is just make sure I have vacuum coming to it. I don't believe we have an issue with vacuum. I'm hoping that it's going to be this solenoid. What have I done? I've just went up and went rooting. I keep a lot of old solenoids. I've been changing engines and a lot of stuff on a constant basis. So because of that, I normally keep bits thrown around. So here is an N75 control solenoid, turbo control solenoid. It came off a Golf or something like that. Bolt up underneath the bulkhead. And just because I had it thrown there, and I have this thing thrown here, I'm going sticking it in. Just to show these yokes, Sandy Anderson, good man out there doing, which you all know of, changed one of these recently, and he had two pipes the wrong way around. It shows actually on the Volkswagen one. So vacuum comes to that pipe there, and then out, that's the control side of the pneumatic side of it, the vacuum side of it is here. This one then is only it's only going to an air box, so it's only just looking for fresh air. So movement of the solenoid inside it creates, what would we call it, air dissipation. So this thing moving has a little puff, 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 just allowing for movement inside it, but it just doesn't want any dirt getting in here. So that pipe is only coming off up and onto the air box somewhere where I'm going to get this thing. Block connector is the exact same. I've tried it on it already. I'm going to hang it in there. I'm going to go for the drive again, look at the same PIDs, and make sure that my car is not looking for control and that the solenoid is not providing it. So I'm going to try that in it and just see. Plug, play, live data in the next snip. Okay guys, we are done. Car is, or whatever you want to call it, van thingamajiggy is resolved. Okay, what I'm looking at here is what we have been looking at all along. Here I have command, actual raw voltage from the turbo pressure actuator, and then down here I'm looking at boost pressure. Now what I'm seeing and looking at here, my boost pressure, this is why I'm saying it's fixed. At around this point here, I have 2,400 or so kPa, which is 1.4 kPa on top of atmospheric. And then my control here, when I'm actually looking for control, we'd say full control here, I have full movement on my actuator. Once it's starting to drop off because I'm actually getting too much or nearly an over boost condition here, the command is dropping off, the actual voltage is dropping off, and it's just because the engine speed is increasing, it doesn't need any more boost. It's curtailing what's in there to avoid an overboost condition and a bursting of an intake pipe from an intercooler to the intake manifold. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you what was the actual result of this, right? I've taken out all those control solenoids, the N75s and stuff that I had sitting out here. I've taken them out of the car, and what I've just thrown away because I drove the car home, or the wagon home. Okay, I was in here, I was a flummoxing and fookstering around, and I was actually changed that N75, and then I stuck in my battery and flattened my phone. Apologies, still nearly flat now, got about 10 minutes of charge. But I was looking, and intermittently, like what we were seeing with our actual voltmeter that was up on the window, intermittently I was having low vacuum in the system. So changing my N75 solenoid down here, which didn't matter, I had it thrown up on the shelf, didn't matter at all, had no real improvement on the situation. So that was the parts cannon. Just because I had it sitting in front of me, easy change, throw it into it, see what happens. Didn't go out on the road, but I wasn't happy when I was flummoxing around here. Okay, where was I? I have a vacuum pipe coming from the vacuum pump over as far as here. Then I have it teeing off and going off down around to this little solenoid that's sitting down there. That was the only other place other than I had this little T here. One was going to the top of the rocker cover, and one was going straight on down to my N75 solenoid, okay, for the turbo. Now, when I was in here and rummaging and rooting and stuff, I just saw, and I thought intermittently, weirdly, that my vacuum was too low. I was looking for about 25 or 30 inches of mercury, close to 0 kPa. That's what I was looking for, but I wasn't getting that. Intermittently, my vacuum was too high. And as I said, my battery was flat in my phone, so I couldn't show you, so apologies. Now, what I done was I had this control solenoid. I went out, I was rummaging, rooting, foostering, fart arsing, whatever you want to call it. I had the two pipes that are going onto the bottom of that control solenoid. Weirdly enough, when I was trying to get vacuum into the system, that's actually controlling only water solenoid. So there's some kind of a flow inhibitor here on a water system, and I had another one sitting down there. So that solenoid in there was controlling these two yokes. Now, when I had it on this one, it doesn't give me the favour of what I showed you a minute ago of actual watts for watt. But I was trying to draw a vacuum through that solenoid over there, and I couldn't. And I might try and show you this on camera. Right, so two connectors, one at the bottom, one at the top. The bottom one I can't suck on, that's blocked. Top one I can. All this is doing is allowing flow, but the long and short of it is that they were on the wrong way around. Okay, so when this car was trying to build, when it was trying to build a vacuum in the system, intermittently, weirdly, it was just sucking air in from here down through the vacuum pipe and wasn't able to create a vacuum. And that then was dissipating any vacuum from the system for that control solenoid. So the long and short of it is, all I done was swapped around the pipes. I was thinking that that little vacuum pipe going onto the rocker cover might be something wrong in there, PCV valve or whatever the heck it's doing. Some of you actually might point it out. I don't know why they put a vacuum pipe onto the crankcase. Is it for a PCV valve, a crankcase ventilation solenoid, or what? I was also seeing that the dipstick that was sitting here had no seal on the end of it, and I was wondering maybe a little bit wet and damp around there. I was seeing a little bit of smoke dissipating up the way, but I was wondering I'm trying to get this to work like that. I was wondering, was it drawn air in through the crankcase intermittently, and was that causing my problem? But it wasn't that. So I blocked that, and I blocked this control solenoid. I had full turbo control. At that point, that's what drew me to this yoke. There's nothing wrong with this one. It was just on the barrage stuff that I had. And because of that, I was able to check and see where I was getting vacuum or where I wasn't. In theory, all this thing is doing, when it gets control, it allows flow. So it doesn't really, in theory, matter what way around they are. It's just that one of them was open, and when that one was open, it was allowing atmospheric pressure in, so the vacuum pump wasn't able to build the vacuum in there. Anyway, the pipes swapped around on that solenoid sitting down here was the fixing of it. the smallest things that are hardest to find. So if people say, oh, there's a small problem with my car, as a technician or a mechanic, whatever it may be, you know there and then that's going to be a problem. You have lads in changing the likes of these yokes, wiring these things up. You had me in even doing continuity check because of Crafter being wrote on top of the ECU. Do I have a wire broken somewhere? Blah, blah, blah. But the long and short of it, all it was a vacuum pipe around here. So, school day, or just a normal day where you're hunting down stuff and you find answers. That's what we do all the time. So, look, anyway, for this one, boys, I am done. I'm after doing the 10 or 15 miles up the road. I give it high load, I'm going to call it, up. It's called a scrouty, yeah, where you'd be under, in a high gear, low RPM, trying to recreate problem. Problem's gone. Problem's fixed. We are done and dusted and I am happy. Hard ones to not get caught on. I suppose didn't it hunting down the lines and all that crack created the answer in this situation. But long and short of it is, this wagon is fixed and finished. A big, huge, well, relatively big, huge Volkswagen Crafter. Guys, don't get caught on it. P2563 underboost. No, sorry, turbo control position or turbo actuator position sensor. Something along them lines. Anyway. For this one, boys, I am done. I'm out. If any of my hints and tips are any good, maybe it's a bit long-winded, but if any of my hints and tips are any good to you, or it's going to help anyone on one of these, please like and subscribe. Lads, after been bait, good fume by the looks of it, and here we are, done and dust. Right, so that took me about 2 or 3 hours, maybe. Maybe I'm minimising it there. A lot of old foosting and farting coming and going, but it is done, it is fixed, and going back to the customer. Lads, thanks very much for watching. Talk to you all in the next cartoon. Peter Kennedy, signing out. See you later, boys.